It's the Abba J podcast. Let's go. And the next guest on the podcast is none other than Mohammed Zaidan. He's got a collective amateur record of boxing. We're going to get to know the fella a bit more. Mohammed, how you going, brother?
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. We've got pleasure to have you on the podcast. How's it feel to come on?
Mate, I'm actually starstruck being part of the Abba J podcast. When I first got approached to come on the podcast, I checked out on what you're all about, and mate, you've got some heavy hitters so far. I think this is episode number 10, and I'm excited.
Mate, look, we're excited to have you on, and when you talk about amateur boxing, there's no records better than yours in this country. We're here to get to the bottom of it, your career, how it started, where it went, and where it's going, because from what I hear, it's not over.
Every fighter's got one left in them, don't they?
Aye.
Look, I left school at the age of 15, and, I was just being a teenager, running amok, doing nothing. And I walked into a gym that was up the road from my house, and I just started hitting the bag. And from there, I got to know a trainer his name was Lachlan. He put me on the pads and he said, "Do you want to spar one day?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I came in the next day. I started sparring, and my nose was bleeding. I got a big headache for around 3 weeks. I copped a beating, but I came back. I still came back, and I really enjoyed it. It was pleasant to be a part of something at such a young age, where I was a bit lost at that time in my youth. And from there, I got the opportunity to see Billy Dibb train. We're in the same gym at that time. And from there, he actually gave me a few tips. And I just trained for a couple of months. And one day, I got a call from Billy Dibb, actually. He said, "There's a boxing show at South Sydney Juniors. Do you want to fight?" I said, "Oh, what do you mean do I fight? Like, well, what do I do? I've never been to a boxing show in my life." So we went down there. All I had was a mouth guard. I went down there and they said, "Okay, you're fighting." So I remember weighing in, and we weighed in, and all I had was my mouth guard. So I had to borrow someone's boots, someone's shorts, someone's headgear. And I remember waiting for the fight, and I was downstairs, and the bus came, and I was like, if I just jump on this bus, like, that's it. I don't have to fight. I was that nervous. But anyways, the fight, I remember coming into the ring, and I was 16 years old. I was 69 kilos. The guy opposite me was a 30-year-old man with full tattoos, and he was looking at me up and down like he was going to kill me. And I remember the judges, before the bell rang, said, "Stop this fight. It's a mismatch. He's only 16. And I looked to my right, and then the bell rang. So I just went out there and I threw around 200 punches around, and just out of adrenaline and being that nervous, I threw that many punches. I ended up winning the fight on points. And from there, just I said, "When's the next one?" That was back in 2006.
So you got the itch in '06, right? So talk to us about, before we get there, the gym environment. Now, a lot of people go in there, they want to know everything, the ABCs from day one. They feel that they're going to start teaching the class after week 2 or 3. They see how hard it is. They get in there and they're like, "No, this is not how it looks like on TV. You don't click your fingers and it happens." Talk to us as a youngster. How did you feel there? And it speaks a lot about you that you kept going in and you kept testing yourself.
Well, look, at that time, I just didn't want to be home. I just didn't want to be at home. And the gym, I knew that 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock was training time. So that sort of motivated me to stay away from a life of just a surrounding that was not right. It was either go to the gym or be around drug dealers. Those are the options I had at the age of 15, 16. And I was fortunate enough to be in that environment in the gym, and I was there from 4 o'clock till 7. Like, it wasn't like a half an hour class. I was there for 3, 4 hours a night. Just wanted to be there. And seeing other people come in, spar and fight, and I was just amazed by it. I just loved it. And after that first fight I had 3 more fights. I won the 3 fights, but then I lost my next 7. And when I lost this, I said to myself, "Is this for me? Like, what am I doing? Like, I just can't win a fight." So the next fight I had, I said, "I'm not having that losing feeling again." I just didn't want that losing feeling. It was something that I can't explain. Like, winning is unexplainable and losing is unexplainable. But anyways, from there, I put my head down and I really, really focused on training hard and applying myself to the sport. And that's all she wrote. I mean, after that, I think I won like 23 in a row after that, and went on to do other things like competition, international tournaments, New South Wales titles, Australian titles, and things along those lines in the amateurs.
So the flick switched kind of. You went on a 4-3 fight losing streak, right? What lessons did you take from that, and what did you find? Because usually they say you learn with your wins, but you learn with your losses much more than your wins. As a person, how did that help you evolve? And as a boxer, what did you learn in that time that you weren't probably doing?
Look, anyone that's boxed before, anyone that is a boxer, knows that it's a very lonely sport. It's a sport that a soccer player can be carried by his soccer team. A football player can sometimes be carried by his football team. But in boxing, it's just you. It's of course what your trainer does, what he has to do in the gym to get you prepared. But on that night, it's just you. It's you and your will to win. And I just knew from those losses that, listen, it's up to you. You can't, no mother, no father, no brother, no lineage, no one's going to help you in that ring. And from there, I just knew that it was a sport where if you applied yourself, you can grow as a human, you can grow as a person, and you can you can overcome any obstacles that you can do in life in general through boxing. I was fortunate enough to have that at the time it was hard, but there was so much pressure on me at a young age boxing, like coming to a boxing fight, fighting, performing at such a young age, that it prepared me for actual real life scenarios later on in life. So that's I took a lot out of boxing in those years.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I think with martial arts, boxing in general, they teach you things that are well beyond your years. And I feel that it's something where life doesn't really prepare you for. Boxing does, because you can't fake boxing. And the rawness of competition, the toughness of competition, and people can only do, like you said, so much to get you ready. Ultimately, you got to put it together. You got to be doing those lonely runs. You got to be doing those things, the extras that actually define you. So you look at those four losses, 3 losses, right? You realized you wanted that. Then you go on a run. 7. So then you go on a run.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that run, what changed, and then what was that transition from there to that next step? Because, boy, when we talk about amateur boxing in this country, you've done it all.
Well, it was just, again, that losing feeling. I didn't want it. So I gave every single ounce of everything I had for those 4 rounds that I fought in the amateurs, because amateurs are sort of high intensity. It's a point system. But you got to throw a lot of punches, and I just went out there and done I said, I'm not leaving this ring until I know that I've given my all. Sometimes you put a performance in, you say, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. But after that time, I said, I've got to give it my all. And I was fortunate enough again I feel that I've had 66 fights. I think around 50 of those fights was just natural talent. So I never had to dig deep in the trenches and put my heart in there and know what I was worth and grow myself. It was more natural talent. But there was fights, well, I'll tell you, where I grew as a person after it, because I knew what I was capable of, where I thought I wasn't. Or sometimes I would take a fight. I remember early in my career, I was doing 15 fights or 16 fights. I fought a couple of people that had 100 amateur fights. And I went in there thinking and doubting that I was good enough, but I ended up winning those fights. And that's what grew me, because I knew that I can take on these guys and I can grow. And that was sort of the point where I said, you know what, I'm more than just a talent in this sport. And I just went on to keep going, keep fighting, traveled pretty much all around Australia. And yeah, it's here I am.
Hey, no, champion. Look, so when we talk about traveling in your career as it progressed, you can't but help that the surroundings was important. Now, who were the people that were pushing you? Was it coaches? Was it training partners? Was it people? Because I wouldn't imagine you had seen anyone doing what you were doing. So where were you gaining that inspiration, and who was feeding off you?
To be honest with you, I look back now and I don't know how I did it. I actually I traveled a lot by myself. Um, I used to get calls up on Thursday. Hey, do you want to go to Cowra to fight? Do you want to go to Orange? Do you want to go Griffith? Do you want to go Toowoomba? Yeah, is there someone that can take me? That was my answer. I used to travel with people at a young age by myself. I didn't even know these guys. And I just don't know how I went through that whole phase of life, just winging it. But my biggest inspiration as a coach, and I owe a lot to him, you know, for teaching me a lot and just being there, was Mick Akaway. Mick Akaway is the father of Bilal Akaway. He basically like he's a father of five, and I was a young boy at age of 18, 19 that he used to train me at the time, and he's the one that really developed my skills and put like made me as a skillful fighter that I was. I learned a lot of him, but at the same time, he took me sort of like he's a father of five, and he's taking this young boy out, you know, to coffee or you know, we used to go to this pizza place. We used to go to there all the time, and just being around him, being around a mature man that was that really cared for the youth and his own people. That really helped me a lot in those years, and I'm forever grateful for him, man.
Yeah, no, God bless you both. He seems like a bloke that is really invested in Australian boxing. He's actually opened up a gym now. He's helping where the professionals go out and train. And he's always willing for a conversation when you see him in public. Like, no matter who you are, no matter how much worth is, he's willing to give you that time, and something that I've seen as well.
Yeah, he's an amazing human. And it's not only me. He's helped a lot of people, man. A lot of people. And you know, he doesn't care about recognition, man. He just does it because he knows that he knows it's the right thing to do, and he's a good Muslim man. He honestly is.
See, that's the most important thing. Now, when we look at the start of your career, right, you got into gyms to get away from the drugs and these thug-like people that, you know, act like they can do it all, and we all know they can't. Then you got people that are genuine like Mick, who has himself a career, a boxing career. You know, himself, he's got high accolades. He's a great trainer, training world champions, who's giving people the time of day, and he's not taking advantage of that authority figure, you know, that macho man feel. And he's more macho than they'll ever be. So,
absolutely. Nah, Mick's, if you cop a right hand of, you know, I remember being in the gym as a kid. I was a bit cocky, and Mick's very quiet, and we all know Mick can throw punches. He can hit you hard. Anyways, I don't know what came over me. But I said, Mick, do you want to spar? And he looked at me with a smirk, and he jumped in the ring. He had a mouth guard, put his mouth guard in. He had a bum bag on. And I promise you, he probably threw one punch, but I was that tired at the end of the round because of how smart and how much pressure he put on me that I said, look, that's enough. I've pretty much got out of the ring, but it was a funny time, man. He's honestly an inspiration to all of us.
Yeah, no, honestly he is, and he's doing a lot of big things in boxing. You know, you guys follow his page. He's on the Akaway Boxing. He's also got his private gym for any boxers looking to get that help to get to the next level. But coming back to yourself and your story, right? So we're going on a streak. We're taking fights wherever they come. How do we start winning these titles? Now, what was the transition from getting on the streak to now taking on these top contenders?
You know what? After around 30 amateur fights, the nerves sort of got away, and it got to a point where I could focus and get into that zone. Basically, to win a New South Wales title, you would have to fight. You have to weigh in the morning on a Saturday morning. You fight in the morning. Back then, I'm saying, I don't know about now. You fight in the morning. If you win, you fight in the afternoon. If you win, you weigh in the next day. You fight in the morning. If you win, you fight in the afternoon. And that's the process. So you would literally have to beat the best people or the best fighters in New South Wales to be a New South Wales champion. From there, you represent your state into the nationals, and you will fight the best people in the state in every state to win an Australian championship. If you win Australian champ, look again. I don't know how amateur boxing is now, but back then, if you won the Australian national champions, you can represent Australia on the international level. So, if they were traveling to France or Thailand or wherever it was, you'll be the representative for Australia. But there was times where countries would come to Australia and they'll pick a team. And I was fortunate enough to represent Australia on the international level 4 times. So that was a really, really good moment for me in my career, and being a young Lebanese Muslim kid, it was good. You know, I take pride in it.
Mate, representing your country is honestly the highest honor in any sporting field. So talk to us, how'd the youngster getting picked for his country walk around about? How'd you take that news? Because honestly, that's one of the greatest things you can do.
Yeah, well, I remember there used to be a squad like the AIS squad, where it was the people that had the scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport. The Ireland team was coming over to Australia, and the guy in my weight division that was part of the scholarship was injured at the time. So my name came up, and I got chosen to fight for Australia against Ireland. And believe it or not, I was actually the only guy in the team to win. So it was a good moment for us.
So, mate, against all odds, you come in, you take him out. What happens there? How's your relationship with the AIS? Were you looking for a scholarship? Was it ever offered, or were you looking otherwise?
Look, I think at the age of 18, I there was talks of me going there. I believe I did get offered one, but not official in writing sort of thing. But again, at the age of 18, I wasn't interested in like going to live in Canberra or anything like that. So I think that conversation was closed very quick. I don't know if the AIS is still around today, but back then it was like the boxing hub and where people would train and then go on to Olympics and whatever team they were part of at that time, whatever tournament it was.
Yeah, no, the AIS is still up there. They had an event not too long ago in Canberra. I think that's where I think Terry Nicholas had his pro debut there. So they're hosting some shows. They're still doing some things. There's a couple of scholarships programs still there. I think they got the Golden Gloves as well. So I think the amateur boxing scene is still here. Talk to us, the 2012 Olympics. Now, there's a lot of times, your name was all over the paper. There was talks that you were going to be Australia's next big thing to get a medal, not just to go and compete, but to medal and, stand on that podium. How was that pressure at 18 years old, that expectation to medal for Australia, and what happened there?
Yeah, look, it was a long time ago, man. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't. It was all a blur. But yeah, it was. Anyone in that era of 2006 to 2011 would know, what the whole process was about and how and where I sort of stood in my weight division. But yeah, there was I was. I think Paul Kent wrote an article in the Daily Telegraph saying I was sort of the next Olympian hope. Unfortunately, I didn't get to 2012 in my boxing career. I sort of, you can say, got burnt out a bit and walked away half-heartedly 2011, at the end of 2011. So it's probably one of my biggest regrets not trying to go to the Olympics in 2012. But, that's life, man. Bigger and better things, hopefully, in the future and where I am today.
Yeah, look, 100%, man. Look, to reach the pinnacle of a sport or of any organization, not a lot of people understand the pressures that come. Not a lot of people understand the burnout and the feeling that you're in, because they've never done that, right? Then they're coming in and they're trying to tell you how you should be doing things. How did you feel in that situation when you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry telling you what you should be doing, but none of them have walked in your path?
Yeah, that's very true, man. That's very true what you say that. When you say that, that's why it's always it's important not to judge anything, any situation, unless you've actually been there and done that. But like my whole period of boxing was just I just done it, man. Like I don't even. I just went to fights. I fought. I went to gyms. I sparred. I just went out there and just done it, man. I just didn't like. There was no social media back there, or there was, but it wasn't great. Like, it wasn't like a big thing. There was no social media. It was just you and what you wanted to do and achieve. I think this day and age it's more about the social media and building your own profile and doing all that. But there's definitely a difference in generation from today and when I was fighting. But yeah, that's I guess again you can never judge, but at the same time, what I went through is if I had a bit more resources and a bit more backing at that time, I think, or a bit more guidance, I think things would have been a little bit different. But that's no issue because I'm pretty content where I am today, and that's life.
Yeah, no, look, that's life, and look, I'm going to take it a bit from you because you're an humble bloke. I've had a couple of training sessions. I'm by no means a boxer, but the time and the effort and the care that you show to your fighters and people that even come to you for advice is second to none. Now, the question is, would that advice have come if you were, sugar-coated the path and you were given everything? I don't think so, because a lot of the people that have everything given to them on a silver platter don't become the people that you are now. And as a mentor and things that you learned from Mick, I think you've taken that, you've become a greater version of that, and you got a lot to give back into boxing, life, coaching, which you do. And I'm telling you, I never forget those classes, man. They don't call you slip for no reason. I can't touch your shoulders, and I'm puffing and huffing, and you're slipping left, right, center, man.
Yeah, look, man. Again, Mick is a big inspiration for me personally. But at the same time, you're right. Like if I'm happy that I done everything on my own in terms of traveling and fighting and just everything fell into place, sort of thing. Later on in life, and you realize that boxing made me overcome anything that life can throw at you, and any boxer can sort of vouch for that because it's you done it. You done everything on your own, sort of thing. Like of course, your trainer plays a big role. But there's it's a lonely sport, man. It's a lonely sport, and if you can get through it, and you can achieve things, mate, you've achieved a lot in life, man. But for my future plans, I will eventually open a very small gym. Nothing like serious to where it's my full-time sort of income, but it'll be mostly aimed at the youth, really, just the young kids and the youth. And giving back to them and giving them a second home, man, for someone that needs it, really.
No, look, 100%, man. Credit to you. You've got the skill set, you've got the accolades to back yourself and, give back to, you've got a plethora of knowledge to give. But before we move on to what's next, mate, you got to tell the people about your amateur record. Now, legend has it, there isn't a person that has a victory over you that you haven't avenged. Tell us about that.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I had 66 fights, 52 wins, 5-time state champion, Australian champion, 4-time international representative. I got chosen to. I actually got the opportunity to. That reminds me. So when Anthony Mundine fought Nader Hamdan, I got the opportunity to actually, first of all, meet Nader Hamdan. At that time was big news, but to also spar him because I had the speed of Mundine at the time, and I thought it was a good match. So being in that, given that experience was just phenomenal, man, because it was a big stage for Australian boxing, a big moment for Australian boxing at that time. So just training, sparring Nader Hamdan every second day. And then I got, after that, there was a contender series of super middleweights. And all the best super middleweights were in the contender house, and I was also a sparring partner for that. I was 10 kilos lighter than everyone else, but I was doing around 14 rounds a day. And the reason I could do that is because I was slippery. I wasn't getting hit. So that was a big opportunity, a good experience as well. And yeah, like you mentioned before, like inspiration. Like for me personally, man, besides Mick Akaway, like being a Lebanese kid, a Lebanese Muslim, like you relate to people that are in your sort of community. And, the likes of the Hussein brothers, Skinny Hussein, Billy Dib, Nader Hamdan, and Hazem Al-Masri at the time, they were like our heroes, and anyone in the early 2000s and even now we know these names, and they carry the generation. And they were the sort of people I looked up to growing up, because they have the same culture as us. They have the same you know, they have the same issues as us if we have issues, but okay, they're your kind sort of thing. And if they were on a platform and they made it, you know, why couldn't I, sort of thing. Not to say that I have the same sort of status as these guys. They're way ahead of us, ahead of myself. But they were good role models, and they were people that I personally looked up to, man, in Australia.
Yeah, look, man, myself included, you know, I learn a lot from yourself and the people that you've mentioned. And that's part of the reason why this platform is here, because we've got to give a voice to the people who have done it the right way, can give back to people and keep it real. Because, you know, we all grew up on the streets. We all grew up with people that are in position of respect, that don't deserve respect. They can't even last a week in the gym. You know, they're going to chuck a hissy fit. Their ego won't keep them there. So we come out to tell them, if one person can learn from a story like you, such as yourself, then we've done our job, you know, and always giving people a helping hand, showing them the way, you know, giving them the ropes like, you know, we were given or weren't given. But that doesn't mean the next generation doesn't get what we didn't have. And I feel it's important with this age of social media that we can reach a lot more people. Like in yesteryears, it was tough, man. Because I'm sure a lot of those people, if they knew you needed a mentor or you needed something, they'd be more inclined to help.
Nah, well said, Best. That's absolutely true, man. We are changing as a you know as a community, as people. We're changing. We're waking up. But yeah, that life of making a name for yourself. I had two options, man. You make a name make your name for yourself on the street, or you make your name for yourself in a sport of boxing, man. I chose that. There was a lot of distractions at the time, but you know we got through it, man. But like there's still a lot of youth out there, man, that we can speak all day about them, but unless we're gonna help them, man, we gotta sort of do something, man. And there's a lot of people out there helping, and you know, if God gives you a talent, God gives you a platform, and you got to use it in His way, man. And what, you know, I do my best to help people through boxing, because that's my capabilities. But if anyone out there has got, you know, a platform or a way to help just one person, man. Look at, like, for example, me personally, man. I tell you a story about Anthony Mundine. When I was 7 years old, he used to play for the Dragons. I used to live around the corner from Jubilee Oval. Me and my brother and I, we snuck into the sheds. I don't know how we got in there, man, but we got to the sheds. We got all the way in, and this guy stopped us. He goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And we just sort of froze. And who comes in behind him? Anthony Mundine. He stops. He goes, "Nah, he's with me, bro. He's with me." And we just looked at Anthony Mundine, and then he looked at us. He smiled. He hugged us. He shook our hands. He goes, "Come for a walk, boys." He took us inside in the change rooms. And at that time, the Dragons team, Nathan Blacklock, I think it was Mark Coyne. There was other, like, big names, and it was a big thing. You know, this is Anthony Mundine. I was 7 years old at the time. From there, I just, you know, we followed him, but him as a person, what he does for his community, the Aboriginal community, and what you know, how many people has he helped, man? Like, just anyone that knows him, he's an inspiration, man. He's using his platform to the full potential. But, you know, unfortunately, other people, they use it for the wrong reasons and to promote, you know, boastfulness and pride and ego and things that we shouldn't really follow that way.
Bro, 100%, man. 100%, yeah. Well said, because even if we look at, like, you look at Choc and things that you can learn from Choc, and the level that he's at is, God knows, in Australia, he's reached the highest of heights. But you see people that haven't even made it in every community, in every section, like whether you're the so-called religious people or the people that give back or whatever you want to say, they don't have what Choc has, but they portray themselves as helping the whole world. And they're not someone who gives a positive influence to that section of life. So it's very important that we all realize that we can do as much as anyone in the world and give back to as much people as we can, because, you know, like we can take from Choc, No matter what, if your demographic is 10 people, if you can impact 10 people, then you've done your job. It's not about the size of your social media capacity, because you got to keep that same energy, man. Keep the energy, because people don't keep it.
Yeah, that's right, man. Look, I personally am not on social media, but it's. I think if someone was off social media, they'll really find themselves better. They'll know who they're worth. They'll know who they are, and then, man, just we're in strange times, really. But yeah, like if I can help someone, man, I'll love to. Like I always have my hand out to help anyone that I can in my capabilities. I never stretch out to someone that I can't actually help, because I know it's just going to be an end. It's not going to end well, but you got to know your capabilities. And this podcast is that's what it's all about, man. If you can get the right people on there and one person sort of reaches out, then that's your job done.
100%, man. Like, honestly, the biggest thing that I've taken from this is we had a nutritionist on not too long ago, Aiden, the dietitian, and someone was suffering with a bit of anxiety, right? He listened to the pod and he's like, bro, I drink coffee before I sleep. And then he stopped doing that, right? And he felt like a 25 to 40% improvement in his sleep, and he wasn't feeling as anxious. I'm like, bro, you made my day, my week. Like that little thing that, it gave you, like, who the hell am I? I'm no one. But we're just trying to give some content to people where it can help you or give a voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right, man. You're doing a great job, man. And I really appreciate your opportunity.
The pleasure's mine having you on. But we're not finished with your story, champ. We've only spoken about your amateur record. Now you made a comeback. You made a comeback. You've got your pro debut a couple of years ago. You got a victory in devastating fashion. It looked like you hadn't skipped a beat. Talk to us about that preparation. What pushed you to challenge yourself? Because boxing is about challenging and growing as a person. You did that. Talk about that step in your life.
Look, man, I'm 30 years old. Every fighter has one more fight in him, man. Look at Anthony Mundine at 45. Look at Roy Jones Jr. Look at Mike Tyson. Every fighter has got one more left in him, man. And I've walked away from the sport so many times. I've done a big surgery maybe 2-3 weeks ago on my left eye. But I actually don't want to fight, but every time I go in the gym, I can't do anything but punch the bag and want to spar. So it's an itch. It's something that's always there. I know I'm not the same fighter as I was, but if I did apply myself, but I'm content, man. I've got 2 kids. I'm happy. And I just pass on the knowledge, man. Whatever knowledge I have, I can pass it on to someone else, man. But in terms of myself, you never know, man. They say age ain't nothing but a number.
No, look, age ain't anything but a number. But mate, you avoided the question. You had your pro debut. How was that the lead up? What pushed you for it? Because the itch had to become more real because you actioned it.
Look, a couple of years ago, 2004, a group of brothers came together and said, we want to put a fight night on for charity. And at that time, I haven't fought in around probably 2 or 3 years. I said, yeah, no worries. I'll jump on. I wasn't expecting it to be anything like major. But come fight night, there was like 600 or 700 people, or 500 or 600 people in the crowd. Those tables sold, those sponsors, those banners. It raised a lot of money, man. And from there, I fought every year in the amateurs. But I fought once a year. But when I say I fought the best amateurs that were around at that time. And of course, I won because if I wanted to come back at something, I would make sure I apply myself, not just train for a couple of weeks and hope for the best sort of thing. And from there, I just fought every year. I had 1 year off, and I said, you know what, to make it even bigger, I just want to get something out of the way and just turn pro, have a pro debut. So I did have a pro debut, end up winning second round stoppage. That was around 2 years ago, but not to say, man, I'm always thinking, man, always ticking. Always, I watch a lot of boxing. I love boxing, of course. There's a lot of, the mind's always ticking, man. And then you come home and you realize, I've got to calm down. I've got a family. I've got to work. So it's, there's just things aren't the way they were.
Yeah, look, and credit to you, man. You came back, you tested yourself, you went through, you made your pro debut, you ticked another box, you did it easily, man. Like you see so many people with padded records, they're like 40-0 or 20-0, and they're not tested. You see that in MMA, you see that in boxing, you see it in any martial arts. You haven't done that. You went against the best at the best, you know what I mean? Then you proved yourself in the pros. There's a lot to, a lot to take your hat off for yourself. But a lot of things that people won't realize is the struggle to make the walk to the ring, which you've clearly showed. But the injuries that come, bro, the injuries that come. Talk to us about the injuries and setbacks, because, geez, if you haven't been in there and you're not active, you don't know how your body breaks on you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, look, from my last fight to my pro debut, I had around 500 burgers. So to lose all that weight and to think that you can just come back and be the same, it just doesn't work like that, man. You always got to be in shape. You always got to train. You always there's so much involved in boxing, man. Like there's the sparring, the training, the developing, the running, the physical, the diet, the emotional side of it, the political side of it. There's so much involved, man. And I was very lucky that I never had injuries my whole career. I actually never had injury. I had, like, obviously my eye injury, but that's not nothing to do with boxing. That was just a natural thing. But yeah, going into it, look, anyone that steps in the ring, man, big respect to them. Big respect. If anyone if anyone thinks that they're tough, they're a man, they're strong, just have one fight, man. Have one fight. Win that fight, lose that fight, whatever. Have another one. Build yourself. See how far you can go if you got a lot of anger in you. If you feel that you're you want to make a name for yourself, so to say, go in that ring, man. Being in that change room and knowing that you're going out, this guy is coming to kill you, man. Literally, it's kill or be killed. It's a humbling experience, definitely. And for me personally, as I say, I found God in boxing and fighting, because when I was a kid, I used to speak to God. I used to say, Allah, if I win this fight, I'll pray. And then I was a young boy, so I would win. I'll pray. But what actually happened was there was fights where I used to make that promise and I lost, but I still prayed. So that journey just continued, man. And through boxing, man, alhamdulillah, Allah gave us the ability to be part of Islam, man.
No, God bless you, man. And look, you got to have shared a moment in the ring to understand what you're feeling. I'll never forget the first time I competed. Nowhere near the level you competed. The ref goes, "You ready? You ready?" I'm like, "No, I'm not ready, but take me home. I don't want to be here." My tough days are over, man. I never had any tough days, but it's not nice. It's like, but you learn, bro. After it, you grow. Where there's a bit of discomfort, you grow. It's like even this podcast. Everything I'm learning on the go. All my learning is online.
You're doing very well, man. Yeah.
So you gotta put yourself in those uncomfortable positions to grow as a person, no matter what you're doing, because you won't have growth any other way.
Yeah, man. That's mate. When you travel, man. Like, I remember being in Tasmania. I was they put me in the bottom downstairs in the basement of a pub to warm up, man. I couldn't even stand up, and the floor was full of like whatever water or beer. I don't know what it was, man, but it was very slippery. It was very wet. It was cold as well. It was like a dungeon, man. It was cold. And going back upstairs, like, you're very uncomfortable situations, man. And you come out of those places, you come out of those places like a different and stronger person. That's just one scenario, but like boxing is just it's just an amazing sport, really. It's actually one of the only sports that brought black and whites together. Actually, one of the first sports. So it has a lot of history, boxing.
100%. Look, I think one of the biggest lessons, you can't fake boxing, you can't fake life. You know what I mean? You're going to get caught out. You think you're the toughest bloke, come into a ring. Test yourself. Let's see.
In saying that, man, like, I relied a lot on natural talent. Like, to be honest with you, I had natural talent. I had like good reflexes. I had a very fast hands. Just they were natural. There was fights where I did win that comfortably through my natural talents. But there was fights where this guy was that good or that much pressure that it took something else in me to come out of that, and that's how you grow again. You realize that what you relied on the whole time wasn't working, man. So something else came out of you, like you get hit with a hard shot and you come back. You can either fold or you come back. It's up to you. And you know yourself as a person, and you know how much you can take. So the more you take, the more you came back, the more you survive, the more you build. You know that for the next fight, you know what you're capable of. You know, and that's again boxing and life, man. They just they're meant together.
Yeah, look, 100%, man. Well said, because you can't fake either. And, you know, you've done that. You've done it there. You've been on both sides of the end. You're willing to give back. You're looking to give back. You know, any young kid, you know, you're in the boxing world, you want to be put in the right direction. You know, you see Muhammad, you see Slip. He's more than happy to put you in the right direction. If he needs to be there, he'll be there. And we're going to see in the community, man. I'm telling you, I'm going to tee you up with some things if I can. You know, come give some boxing lessons, give some wisdom, you know, show these youths the ropes. Because they're seeing the wrong people, man. You know what I mean? They need to see you, bro.
Whatever they want, man. There's a lot of good people in this community, man. There's a lot of good people, man. But unfortunately, you know, external forces are changing us, man. And you know, it's important that we stick together, man, and be the best people we can be as a community.
100%, man. Look, we'll fight fire with fire, man. I got the Banksia president. I think he's scheduled for this Saturday. I've got, you know, Uncle Fawara as well. You know, some of the footballing clubs will try and get you in to see some boxing classes, some seminars, you know what I mean? And we'll put your name out there, because you are going to open a gym one day. And, bro, I've trained under a couple of classes. You're missing out if you haven't seen it, because, you know, it's specialized, it's one-on-one. You know, you're showing things that people don't show, bro. I've been to gyms. I'm telling you, you go 10, 20 classes and the bloke hasn't shown you how to throw a punch properly, because he wants you to come next week and the week after. You're showing me things.
You know, like, of course, that everyone's different, man. Some people, it's a bit commercialized for them, and of course, they got rent and all that. But for me, man, it's just I generally want to teach people, if they come to me, how to fight, man. What the art of boxing. From what I know, you know, there's no real rule in boxing, man, because styles make fights. Every trainer has a different style. So to tell you, I tell you, I jab that way or throw your right hand that way. Another trainer will say that's completely wrong, man. Like, you know, this is how you're supposed to do it, and that's what makes boxing. There's no so-called like rule book. Every trainer's got a different style, and that, like you said, like what the time that Mick Akwe invested in me, how much I appreciated that, how much that actually affected me. I want to have that effect on someone else. That's so important for me, man.
No, 100%, man. And look, you know, you're not dead to boxing. We're going to keep you alive. Even when we do shows on boxing, we're going to look. I'm looking to do. I've got an NRL show this year with, like, every week we'll look who's going to win, how they're going to win with Shane Flanagan. I've got Andy Raymond scheduled on this week. You know,
Andy,
yeah.
He's a boxing commentator, was he? In Fox Sports.
He was, but he's more mainstream rugby league. He used to go off the side with footy.
Yeah.
And I think Fox cut him off as well, so he's freelancing at the moment. So he's pretty good to work with. Very nice guy. He gives the time of day to people that, like myself, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Doesn't need to give it to me. So we'll look at boxing fights, you know, and, you know, what do you think the state of boxing is now? You know, you have the Mundine Zarafa. You've got some up-and-coming fights in Australia. You got Tim Tszyu, No Limit behind him. You got Paul Gallen who's fighting. What's your say on the Australian scene?
Mate, it's exciting, man. Like, you got Tim Tszyu that's leading the charge at the moment, and, you know, put his surname aside, man. That guy is a gun, man. He's focused. He's a very focused fighter, man, and he's got the right tools to get him very far. All the right resources. He's another guy, man, in the amateurs that we used to fight on shows together. He's done the yards, man. Like, he hasn't just rocked up. You know, he's had quite a bit of amateur experience. And, you know, all good luck to him, man. He's doing very well for himself. Got George Kambosos, man. He's fighting for the unified world title.
Yeah, tell me about that, man. That's the biggest fight in Australian boxing.
We used to travel a lot with him, man. Amazing, man. He applied himself, man, and look where he is. Bilal Akwe, hopefully making a comeback. He had a long layoff because of some injuries.
Yeah.
Who else you got, man? You got.
We've got.
The other day, Bilal did.
Yeah, Bill is fighting April 9.
Yeah, he's a gun. He's pretty good fighter.
He's got a big rivalry brewing with Liam Wilson.
And mate, if it's from what he said, man, it's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing. No Limit Boxing are supporting him and they're pushing him because they want him to become the next Tim Tszyu. They want him to be the next pay-per-view draw. That's what they're trying to push him for, And they're pushing that stupid narrative that isn't true. Like they're pushing that Belal is avoiding the fight, and it's been documented. Ramadan's the reason, and there was a lot of things said that weren't right, and I feel that alhamdulillah we had the real narrative come out, man.
Yeah, that's right, man. Alhamdulillah, and you know what? It's amazing. If it was the other way around, man, it'll be all over the media. But because it's us, man. Yeah. Let's just put it under the carpet, sort of thing, man. And it's unfortunate the way this world works, but as long as people are awake to this sort of stuff, and know that it's unacceptable, man. It's absolutely unacceptable to be saying comments like that on and for him being like Australian representative, as they say, or the next big thing. It's just unacceptable, man.
Yeah, look, it's unacceptable. I think that'll be the next fight to make. And then look, the promo. Good luck with the promo because we've got all the evidence. He's been stripped of his title. We've got the photos. We've got the messages that's been sent.
Put all that aside. Like boxing's boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
That's sort of. He's just sort of insulted 1.3 billion people. Like that's not like it's beyond boxing. You know what I mean? That just shows his colors. And if it was a man, he will apologize. If it was a man, but put all that aside. Like they're in the same weight division. They've got both a lot to lose, a lot to win if they fought each other. That's in terms of the boxing sort of stats. So it'll be a very exciting fight, man.
Yeah, I think that's the next fight to make. Hopefully they're looking towards August, But first and foremost, Belal has got to get through April 9. You got Paul Gallen, Lucas Brown. You've got the YouTubers as well. You haven't told us about the YouTubers. How do you feel about YouTubers coming in, fighting on pay-per-view?
Yeah, I don't even know, man. I don't care about these are the guys that promote rubbish, man. Promote the youth to be like them, like they're just rubbish. They've got no grounds to be in the ring, really, or to be on a platform part of the ring.
But like you said earlier, this is a day and age we're in, bro. Social media, whoever's got a camera in their face has a platform. Whatever makes money.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a saying, man. There's a lot of world champions that are in the gym, but they just don't get the opportunity. Like there's a lot of people in gyms that that are better than world champions, but they just don't have the opportunity or don't have the resources to actually get out there, man. So it's what narrative they have and what sort of resources they have. But like a guy that is on YouTube and starts boxing and makes millions of dollars, it's just not fair, man. Like in terms of being a hard working boxer and working for the ranks.
100%, man. But like you'd see with yourself, like alhamdulillah for being Muslim and seeing things holistically, right? We know we have a bigger purpose in life. So you might think that you've beat us here, but you don't know that we're going to influence or have an impact on a lot more other people because of the struggles and the trials and the tribulations we've had to overcome. Because even if you look at Tim Tszyu, let's take Tim for example. Tim has a great amateur record. He did well in the amateurs. He walked away from the sport for some time and he lost himself for a bit.
That's right.
It's his people that put him back in line and showed him this is your path. But in all honesty, I think that's the only thing he has, though, boxing.
Yeah.
So, we all have a role, we all have a purpose. Slip, it's an honor and a pleasure having you on the podcast. We're going to have you on again when we look at boxing and breaking it down because we need your breakdowns. Mate, anything, last comment to the people watching this?
Oh, thanks for listening, man. Support the ABJ podcast, man. He's doing great things. And looking forward to speaking to you all again.
100%, man. Pleasure's all ours. He's just too humble. The people's champ, Mohammed Slip Zaidan. Watch his space. Once he opens a gym, you'll know from here. All his next moves, you'll know from here. And thanks for watching, guys. We're out.
Let's go.
Let's go.